Good afternoon, YouTube. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to refletch arrows when you're missing some. Sometimes they just get shot off, sometimes they penetrate the target too far and they peel off, sometimes your buddies shoot them off, or sometimes you're just a really good shot like me and you shoot your own fletchings off. So, however, whatever causes them to come off, sometimes they need to be replaced. Sometimes they're just old. Sometimes you just want to change the color, and that's okay. I am going to change the colors on mine today. These fletchings have been on here actually for many years, and it's just time to freshen them up and get them looking pretty as they fly into my target or into my elk or my deer or buffalo or bear, whatever I'm lucky enough to draw tags out on. One of the things you have to make sure is you have a drink standing by. This is hard work and you gotta stay hydrated, right? So the next thing you want to do is take a pocket knife. You don't want the sharpest pocket knife you have, because last thing you want to do is cut into the carbon, but you want I'd say more dull than sharp knife, and you're just going to start scraping the old fletchings off. You can, once you get more loose, maybe pull off most of the fletching, get it down just a little bit. Be very careful that you're not cutting into that carbon, that you're just scraping the fletching off. This knife I have might actually be a little too sharp. I haven't cut into it yet, but I'm going to scrape it along and I could hear it scraping the carbon, which is probably okay. I guess they were not cut towards me. They teach you that in Boy Scouts to not cut because then you're going to slip and slice your hand, right? But you're just going to get this mostly worked off. I think my brother Darren was the ones who put these on. He must have used Gorilla Glue or something because these are on there really well. I'm surprised at how hard these are to scrape off. Again, you don't have to do this super fast just because you don't want to scrape that carbon. Nothing worse than scraping your shaft on something sharp and then having to live with the pain that causes of having a crooked shaft or an unstraightened shaft maybe. I'm going to try and protect that shaft as much as possible. Okay, once you get the fletchings off of your shaft, you're going to have some of the sticky, goopy stuff on your shaft. You're going to want to clean that off. So I have here some denatured alcohol. There's some debate on whether to use alcohol or not, but if you use the denatured alcohol, that has been successful in the past as far as getting the sticky goop off your shaft and making it so it'll still stick when you put on your new arrow wrap, or if you use the wraps. I'm going to use the wraps. I ordered some Hush arrow wraps that I'm going to apply. Huge Hush fan. Love watching those guys on there. They, I guess you could say, are my YouTube inspiration. Would love to go on a hunting trip with them. I'm sure they would teach me a thing or two, and I would teach them a lot of things or two. Probably mostly things what not to do. But hey, you gotta learn from all angles, right? Just decided to clean this shaft off a little bit more before we wipe it down. That glue's just on there really good. Probably lost 36 pounds of glue just by cleaning off those fletchings. My arrows are going to be flying all over the place now. Okay, so once you got it cleaned up pretty good, you're going to take your denatured alcohol. Sorry, they kid-proofed this one. That's how my stomach feels every day when I open a can of Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper and take that first gulp. My mouth can't help but to go. Alright, so you get some of that denatured alcohol on paper towel and just start wiping it up and down your shaft. When you're rubbing your shaft, you want to try and get all that glue to bunch up. I think I still need to scrape more off. I couldn't find a dull pocket knife, which is so ironic because it seems like every time I pull my pocket knife out, it's so dull it doesn't even want to cut butter. And now that I need a dull pocket knife, can't find it. I just need more alcohol in there, I don't know. I do have this sandpaper block. I got the very finest I can. Just rub over this, see if that helps any. You don't want to sand too much because again, you don't want to sand your shaft down and so it's not a nice circular shaft. You don't want a straight edge on it. It does seem to help a bit. Another thing you can use is your wife's hair cutting shears. Just don't let her know. She'll probably kill you if she finds out. And definitely don't tell her that I told you. I just happened to see these when I was looking for my dull pocket knife. I thought, hey, I wonder if that would work. And it's actually working pretty nice. You didn't hear that here. Okay, I don't need her calling my wife and get me in trouble because I used her shears to strip my fletchings. Alright, let's try this again. I'm using napkins, which probably isn't ideal because they're probably a lot softer than if you were using paper towels, but sometimes you do and use what you have, right? Oh, it's kind of getting that glue all bunched up, so. That feels much better. Okay, now you're gonna want something that's softer, such as styrofoam, or I'm using cardboard in this case, to roll on your fletching. If you do it on a hard surface, you tend to get bubbles in it. And if we're going to do it, let's make them pretty or awesome looking or look like a professional did it. Okay, so you're going to pull one of your veins off. You can put them on any way you want, but I'm going to put the elk antler up towards my notch. So I'm going to put this down on the cardboard. Tricky part is to get it so it doesn't stick to your finger. And you're going to put it on here. You're going to try and get it so it's straight with the sticker. If you put it on like this, obviously it's going to be pretty horrible And I'm just going to put it just below my notch line. So once you get it on, you're just going to roll it and take your thumb, work out any of, you're going to work that seam where it's seamed on. You're just going to work it so it's applied on there nice and good. Okay, so once you've got that on there secured where you feel comfortable with it, you're going to take your fletching tool, and there's different models. This is one that I'm choosing to use. You're gonna set the spring on it. You're gonna take this and stick it down the end. I'm applying an orange fletching, a white fletching, and a pink fletching. Kind of all over the place, but it works. Always know my arrows from everyone else's. I'm using the Blazer vein. It's time for a dehydration break. This break is brought to you by Maverick. No, Maverick isn't a sponsor yet. One day I'm going to be happy to say, guess who called me, guys? Maverick called me. They want to be a sponsor and supply me with all the Dr. Pepper and all the Mountain Dew I can possibly drink. And they're going to give me the 25-cent mug refill like they originally started out with. Back to our scheduled program. On my particular fletching tool, you will notice I have a light blue and then two dark ones. I'm going to load this one with my white, so that way they're always in the same spot and I'll know which way to load my arrow into my bow, into the draw. And your fletching has a narrow end to a wide end. The wide end goes down, so that way the narrow end's pointed up the arrow. The last thing you want to do is put it on backwards. You might be shooting more of a boomerang style arrow than anything. So I'm just going to slide that fletching down in and drop it all the way down to the bottom. And I'll go with my orange next. Put that one there. And then I'll put the pink right there. Next, you're going to take your glue. I'm using the Boning Platinum Fletch type. There's several on the market. You can use whatever you're most comfortable with. I wish I knew what my brother used, because obviously it takes an act of Congress to get the glue off. Now, if you're dumb enough to use your wife's shears, and it's a brand new package, don't forget to poke a hole right in the top. Otherwise your glue's not going to come out. You're going to load your nipple onto your tube. We're going to set this back up. The pink fletching fell out, so you'll reload it. And you're just going to run a very thin bead on all three of those. This is probably going to be hard for you to see, but just run that up each fletching. And once you get to that point, close these up on it. You're going to drop that first piece, like I said, down. You're going to get it so it's locked on there. And then you're going to release that spring. That will hold it on nice and tight. And you got your fletchings in there getting glued to your shaft. Now, you're going to want to leave this on for a few minutes. It doesn't take long for it to dry, but while this is drying, you can take your next fletching and start stripping this off. By the time you get this one prepped, your first arrow that you just finished will be done and ready, and you can go through a dozen arrows in probably 26-28 hours. Alright guys, I was able to get these all knocked off, and there's the end result. I am pretty happy with it. I know that you can take these in and pay someone to do it, but it is fun just to sit and do it yourself. Just build your confidence a little bit. It probably costs as much to go buy the supplies and equipment as it would if you paid someone to do it. And you don't get the joy of being able to feel the sense of accomplishment when you're done. So don't be afraid to go get it. Get the equipment you need, the supplies, and do it yourself. Plus you get to choose whatever color patterns you want. You went with a brighter color, so like I said, when my arrow goes into my target, I'm able to watch that arrow travel and hopefully be able to know where my contact point is a lot easier. But if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please go and hit the subscribe button. I know I'm a new channel, and I have a lot of product to put on here. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Feel free to leave comments. I'm not a professional. I just an off-duty police officer sitting in my kitchen, refletching my arrows. Something to do something positive with my time. But appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.